is justice within the light. But you have to be patient. Now, pray with me. May Akarat guide and protect me.
May Akarat guide and protect me.
May he shepherd my soul.
May he shepherd my soul.
And grant it mercy.
And grant it mercy.
What are you doing here? This is not the time.
But this is confession. And I have sinned. I was a thief who stole from those more fortunate. I strayed from your light and found my trade in the shadows. They call it murder. I say, job well done. I am a thief, a heretic, a murderer, Father. Will Akarat save me?
You mock our light. But those monsters were a scourge upon my flock. And you were the answer to their prayers.
Then we are settled, and you owe me.
The name you seek is... Thank the heavens for you.
Heavens? I assure you, Father, the heavens didn't send me.
Rain of arrows off the mount for the win, and then
PvP a little bit later in the segment, but ears are definitely making a comeback. Very archetypical rogues, starting with the weapon selection. On the melee weapon side, rogues can use swords and daggers, as well as bows and crossbows on the ranged side.
you know, just those sort of dagger attacks mixed with bow attacks, it's like, it just looks great on screen with all the classes.
Such a iconic place where you're wearing the red armor, you kind of look like part of the citizen, add some tattoos into the mix, some scars, make that rogue your own. Or if your fantasy of the rogue is a more traditional RPG outlaw, you're definitely able to create that and put on your kind of hood and half mask and be more of a shadowy character.
Yeah, and the character customization, you kind of mentioned it, being able to craft that, you know, that the class of your dreams or your nightmares. It was a feature that I was honestly super nervous about when we started because we'd never had this in a Diablo game. But seeing where it is now, it's...
The three specializations are combo points, Shadow Realm, and exploit weakness.
I take the problem and I make it smaller. I mean, it's just, I just pull 3 guys into the Shadow Realm and duke it out, and then I come back in, I'm like, all right, smaller problem.
So the way it works is during some of the enemy attacks, players will see an icon flash over the enemy's head, during which time they will get to retaliate with much more damage than an ordinary attack. If you're quick on the draw, this is the specialization for you. Opponent specialization, as you might expect, this ability lets you build multiple combo points, which enhance your spender's effectiveness in combat. It basically, you just like get into this rhythm of combat of like 3 builders to a spender, lets you build up to these big moments. It's like the Frost Imbue, which feels a lot like the like Poison Imbue and Shadow Imbue. Just the ability to take any sort of attack and kind of mix and match with those imbues.
Once that Rain of Arrows with Frost and Rain of Arrows with Acid is completely different, right? Like, I just love Poison Imbue because of the gruesome deaths that all the monsters experience. And we've had a ton of fun making that art, so it's always fun to kind of see just a field of goatmen melt into nothing. You just kill everything on the screen in a gory mess.
Flurry and Shadow Step as kind of your melee skills, and you find yourself needed. Now you're able to use those same abilities to...
Somebody else can blow it up.
Or also the way that chills work using a single player. So, just ask to open with Blizzard before you Frost Imbue, and you'll basically be freezing enemies twice as fast. Worth spending some time talking about the Rogue. It's like how mobile the class is. Just even while they're mounted, you might find yourself, a full screen away and just dismounting into a rain of arrows, closing the rest of that gap with maybe like a dash, and then getting back out of there, dropping some caltrops. They can basically all of the other customization options that you have, whether it's the playstyle, whether it's the range at which you engage with enemies, whether it's the cosmetics, just the sheer mobility of the class lets you just adapt to the situations. Even when you would have totally been toast as another class ways. Abilities like Shadow Step, right? Like abilities like Shadow Realm, abilities like Dash. So you're able to kind of like use them to your...
When I play the Rogue, I really do feel like surgical precision. I really feel like I can move through the whole screen without... it feels...
Just exploring the world. I am a huge completist naturally, that's the way I play, and I love exploring and looking under every single nook and cranny. The more having just riding around the open world on my mount and exploring everything I possibly can.
Yeah, it's really fun, I think. There are hoof plates you can get and trophies to show off your accomplishments. There's lots of different ways to make sure that you can personalize your mount, make it really feel like it's your companion. These monsters have started to move into these places. Bandits, monsters, goatmen, all kinds of different creatures, skeletons, the undead, have started to like resurface and come back into these areas and start to take them for themselves. You, as the hero of Sanctuary, get to kind of wander through these spaces and begin to reclaim them for the people of Sanctuary.
Once you have defeated that evil, one of the really fun things is that you basically unlock that camp and you make a new waypoint that...
Now, what we're looking at here, this was a village, the village of Karayisu, which now has fallen to ruins. The people here in the Dry Steppes had a problem. The problem was there were bloodthirsty cannibals that dwelled nearby and would regularly raid their community. And the people had to come up with a solution. They weren't strong enough to defend themselves from these cannibals, so they made a dark bargain with a demon. And they were able to gather enough power to push these cannibals out and protect their community, but not without great cost, as we can see here. You're kind of helping Reese to kind of play with movement.
It pushes the bar vertically as well as horizontally, and we now have been playing around with the idea of jumping across chasms to allow the player to get access to a location that they previously didn't have.
There's all kinds of areas for players to like find their own path, allowing them extra movement options they haven't had in previous Diablo games.
We are also in a vertical top-down camera for the environment, and so it really breaks up the plane that you typically see as like not only as a developer, as an animator, but also as a player. What works is that the hatred of Mephisto has been bubbling up from hell and has created these areas in the open world that you can freely walk into that kind of consumes you and makes you turn against your fellow players.
PvP, even in these areas, these fields of hatred, right? Even in these spaces, it's not like mandatory. So these are optional places players can choose to go to kind of collect shards of hatred that they can collect from like killing monsters, from completing events, opening chests, all kinds of ways to earn these things, not necessarily just killing players. And as you earn these shards of hatred, they're kind of in an unpurified. You need to bring them to a purification event in order to turn them into a currency that you can then use in the nearby like small encampments around the Fields of Hatred. And what's really neat about that is that when you're trying to purify these things, that's when everybody nearby finds out and hears like, oh, okay, well, someone's actually trying to complete the purification ritual. We need to go and kill those players and take all of their shards before they finish. But once you purify,
The second you need to then turn them in and purify them into a currency where you can spend them on gear, trophies, and other content, you actually are hostile yourself and actually can be attacked during that single moment.
kind of like infuse yourself with that same curse of Mephisto. And you're going to become a vessel of hatred. Now, once you do that, everyone within a very large radius of you is going to be able to see you as a threat on the map.